Questions about your actions in Act 4.
Our sources have told us that you have been accused of falsifying evidence, lying, and framing and manipulating other characters.
Okay.
We know that you planted Desdemona's handkerchief in Cassio's room to make him look guilty of having an affair with Desdemona. You then manipulated Othello with talk of the handkerchief and his wife's affair, which caused him to have a seizure because of stress.
Then, when Cassio arrived, you pretended to be concerned for Othello and asked Cassio to leave and return in a little while. Then, when Othello recovered, you told him to hide and listen to Cassio speak about Desdemona, when in reality he was talking about his lover Bianca.
Then, in your favor, Bianca arrived, and you snatched this opportunity to persuade Othello that Desdemona was just another one of Cassio's girlfriends. Of course, Othello was very angered by this, and you took advantage of him by telling him to strangle his wife in bed. You also told him that you would kill Cassio as revenge for betraying Othello's trust in him.
Later, you spoke negatively about Othello to Lodovico to manipulate him into thinking that Othello was not as noble as he seemed. After that, when Desdemona was in distress, you pretended to be honest Iago and acted like you cared about her.
You told her not to worry because Othello was most likely just mad about the letter, which you knew was a lie. Finally, when Rodrigo came to seek revenge against you, you somehow manipulated him to plot to kill Cassio for you.
Well, when you say it like that, I would describe matters more differently. I know that Desdemona was too good to be true, so even though I told a lie, I was protecting Othello, my general, from getting hurt by marriage, and I was opening both their eyes to reality.
That makes absolutely no sense. You're clearly just evil for revenge and elevating yourself.
Well, not really.
Come on, just admit it.
Fine, I did everything you said. I wanted to get even with Othello, because there's a rumor that he slept with my wife. Also, he promoted Cassio as lieutenant.
So, you thought it would be fair to murder Desdemona, just because of a rumor that you don't even know is true?
But it ruined my reputation!
Moving on. You also plotted to murder Cassio because you wanted his position.
But it was rightfully mine anyway.
What do you have to say about all of these people you manipulated to do your dirty work for you?
Oh, they deserved it.
What are you planning to do next?
Let's just say there will be blood.
Okay, thanks. This interview's over.
Hello, Lodovico. So tell us, now that you know what Iago has been up to, do you feel that you were gullible or understandably vexed when Iago was telling you that Othello was a changed person?
Clearly I was understandably vexed because I myself saw Othello hit his wife. So I assumed that he was not acting like himself.
Yes, we definitely agree with you. Also, for all you knew, Iago was a very close and honest friend to Othello, so it makes sense for you to believe what he'd said about Othello.
And he seemed so reluctant to tell anything bad about Othello, so I just assumed he was telling the truth.
Yes.
Kids, what do you think Lodovico was? You're right! Lodovico was understandably vexed. So Rodrigo, after watching the interview with Iago from backstage, do you feel like you've been gullible or understandably vexed?
Oh, I don't know. I thought Iago was my holdie. But it turns out it was just using me for his own personal gain!
But you already accused him of manipulating him. So why did you let him convince you to kill Cassio?
It's not that simple. It was very persuasive.
Oh.
I think you're deceiving me, Iago. Rodrigo, what are you talking about? You always tell me I'm gonna win Desdemona, but it never works. That's not true, Rodrigo. Are you sure? Yeah. Okay, if you say so. Hey, by the way, I was wondering if you could just, kill Cassio for me, you would definitely win Desdemona if you do that. Just kill Cassio, sometime later in the night, if you can. Just gonna... Alright, that sounds pretty good to me.
Seriously?
You are so gullible. You saw through Iago's plot, yet you still agreed to do whatever he told you. Even if Cassio dies, why would Desdemona leave Othello and be with you?
Hey!
Kids, what do you think Rodrigo was?
You're right! Rodrigo was gullible.
So Cassio, before we ask you about your reactions to Iago's plot, did you know that Othello thought you were having an affair with Desdemona and that he planned to have you killed?
I had no idea.
So when you were talking to Iago about Bianca, do you think you were gullible or understandably vexed because Iago was making you look bad in front of Othello?
I was so gullible. How could I not have noticed that Othello was watching us? And how could I not have noticed that Iago was behind all of this?
Well, it's actually quite understandable. You were just having a normal conversation with your friend Iago. No one would have suspected anything in this situation.
Well, if you say so.
But there were other times when you were a little bit gullible.
Oh, hi Cassio.
What happened to Othello?
Oh, he's just having a seizure, just the regular ones. You know how it goes. Usual.
Is he okay?
Oh yeah, he'll be good. You just leave and yeah. So, but come back in a little while. I have to talk to you about something.
Why don't you tell me right now?
Because just come back.
Okay.
Okay, well, that was a little gullible.
A little? How could I not have suspected anything?
Well, that's what we thought too. But in terms of the Bianca conversation, you were definitely understandably vexed. Kids, what do you think Cassio was?
You're right.
Cassio was understandably vexed.
Hello, Desdemona.
Good evening.
Iago manipulated you by acting like he cared about you to win your trust, and by saying that it was only the letter with the state affairs that upset Othello, and nothing that you did. Do you feel that you were gullible or understandably vexed to trust Iago?
Well, I don't understand why Othello is being such a to me. After all, I am his wife, and he should trust me.
Could you answer the question, please?
Okay, so I trust Iago when he said the letter made Othello upset. After all, he is honest Iago, and he's my husband's friend.
Yeah, we agree with you.
Well, men should love their wife no matter what. You know what? Even he isn't getting any of this. We've been married for 3 days, and if he's gonna treat me like this, I'm gonna call Brabantio up, and he's gonna get it.
We haven't asked you any questions yet. But as we were saying, we do think that you were understandably vexed because you were simply getting answers as to why Othello was so angry at you from one of his good friends. Also, you were too confused and naive to think that anyone would have framed you at this time. So, kids, what do you think Desdemona was? You're right! Desdemona was understandably vexed.
Hi, Othello. So the big question on everyone's mind is, are you understandably vexed or gullible? What do you think you are?
I think I was understandably vexed because, first of all, I saw the conversation between Cassio and Iago where I thought they were talking about Desdemona, and then to make things worse, Bianca came in with the handkerchief. It just seemed like proof to me.
Yes, that makes sense.
She constantly brought up the love she bears to Cassio in conversation, and I took it the wrong way.
That is understandable.
Also, when I talked to Desdemona alone, it was right after I finished talking to Iago about killing her and Cassio, so you can imagine my judgment was quite clouded.
True, very true.
So you agree then? I am understandably vexed.
Well, not quite. Stupid.
What do you mean?
Well, when Iago first brought up that Desdemona might have been unfaithful, you begged Iago to tell you more lies that could not be backed with proof.
Oh well, I still have more points than you.
That's not all. When you were stalking Cassio and Iago, you should have expected that you couldn't hear every single word that they were saying. If you were listening more closely, you might have noticed that they were talking about Bianca.
I guess.
Then you continued to believe Desdemona was still pure and sweet, but then you immediately accepted when Iago told you that she was evil and immoral, and not what she seemed.
Well, he was pretty sneaky about it.
You also completely believed that Desdemona and Cassio were together without even consulting them, and you were quick to decide to murder them. You didn't even sleep on it. If you would have just had a nap.
So?
And didn't you find it suspicious when Iago was so quick to suggest that you strangle Desdemona and that he would kill Cassio?
Well...
You even had proof from someone who spent all her time with Desdemona. Amelia said she would lay down her soul at stake to prove Desdemona's honest, but since she's just the maid and she didn't say what you wanted to hear, you shrugged up what she said off.
I think I should call my lawyer now.
Lastly, didn't you find that Desdemona was too open about Cassio? If she were really cheating, she would be more secretive. And she was just so confused about the whole thing. And you didn't find that strange? So, what do you have to say about all of this?
Oh, and also, why would Desdemona marry you against her father's will just to cheat on you? And when would she have cheated? You were only married for a few days.
Well, since he doesn't have anything to say. So kids, what do you think Othello was?
You're right! Othello was gullible. And that concludes today's show.
Thanks for watching The Jealousy Show.